Hello viewers, welcome to Mythology. Today's topic is reproduction in humans. This is just a synopsis of the chapter. I'll be dealing with the essential terminologies, the important diagrams, and the process at a glance. This will be at a base level for students of class 8. Let us introduce to you what reproduction does mean. Reproduction is the process of formation of offsprings of the same kind or of the same species. It usually involves, two different types. Reproduction can either be asexual or sexual. Sexual as seen in the humans. It is generally asexual in the lower organisms, where it just involves one parent. The single parent is capable of producing offsprings from its body asexually. But when it is sexual reproduction, it involves two parents. Like in asexual reproduction, there is no production of gametes. While in the sexual reproduction, the gametes like the sperm and the ova are produced in the body. In asexual reproduction, no fertilization will take place and there will be no formation of the zygote. While in sexual reproduction, fertilization occurs and the zygote formation is also seen. That fertilization, which is the mixing of the nucleus of an ovum with that of the nucleus of a sperm. This is actually what we call as fertilization. Then it is the process of meiosis, which doesn't occur during asexual reproduction at any time during the process. But for sexual reproduction, it will always be through meiosis while the gametes are being formed. In spite of the differences in the reproductive system, the male looks quite different from a female. This is called dimorphism. Males show appearance of hair on their face in the form of mustache or beard when they grow into an adult. Right from puberty, there is deepening of the voice due to development of the voice box or the Adam's apple. On the other hand, a female shows enlarging of the chest due to the full development of the mammary glands. There is also widening of the pelvic region, which is a basic means for the accommodation of a baby inside the uterus when the situation comes so. Now, let me show you the female reproductive system, which is located in the abdomen, and it is an internal one, is quite different with the parts and the structure compared to the male reproductive system, which is shown towards the left. Now we will come one by one to see what the differences are and functionally also how they are different from each other. This is the structure of a female reproductive system, which has a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviduct or fallopian tube. It has a uterus, a muscular uterus. Then this uterus opens internally by cervix, which finally opens to outside by the vagina. Now, the site of fertilization, where the sperm comes and meets the ovum, is somewhere here, which is the fallopian tube or the oviduct. Then after fertilization has happened, there is the time for implantation. So this implantation is the attachment of the egg cell which has already got fertilized. Now it is a zygote on the wall of the uterus. That is the inner wall of the uterus called the endometrium. This is then followed by a period of growth from this fertilization to the childbirth, which we call it as the gestation period. This gestation period in human is 280 days. If we count it in months, it will be around 9 months, 10 days. As already told, the female gamete is called an ovum, which is released from the ovary, one ovum every alternate month from each of these ovaries. That is a general way in which the system works. It may sometimes alter, but this is the general case that I spoke to you. And the site of oogenesis is indeed the ovary, that is the formation of the ova from the ovarian cells. Now, the female reproductive system produces quite a large number of female hormones as well. These are estrogen, the most important one, then oxytocin, then relaxin, luteinizing hormone, which is marked as LH, and progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone help a large way in marking the start of puberty, which comes in the form of menstrual cycle. Next, we go to the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system has a pair of testes. Into the internal structure of the testis, we can see seminiferous tubules. These seminiferous tubules produce sperms, that is the site of sperm production. This is also, leading out from this testis in the form of a highly coiled structure, which is then called the epididymis. In this part of the epididymis, the sperms get matured. And all these tube-like structures of the epididymis now join in together to make a thicker tube, which is called the vas deferens or the sperm duct. Then this sperm duct progresses upward to come close to the urethral opening, and before that we find quite a number of paired and unpaired glands in the male reproductive system. There are a pair of seminal vesicles which produce a secretion for the transportation of the sperm. Then the corpus gland, which produces a lubricant, and then an unpaired prostate gland, which produces an alkaline secretion. All three of these secretions together comes to be known as semen, and the semen is the fluid medium for the entire transportation of the sperm in the male reproductive system. There are also functional activity for the hormones like testosterone, progesterone, and FSH during this process of sperm production and indeed the sperm maturation and release of sperm. This is the act of fertilization. Fertilization, which is the fusion of the nucleus of sperm with the nucleus of an egg. Here, diagrammatically, you can see that since in an ejaculate there are so high number of sperms released, yet only sperm generally enters into the ovum. This is possible because during its journey, the sperms usually die out due to the acidic secretion of the vagina, and also many of them lose their tail, which helps them to swim and reach higher on the fallopian tube. So here there are several labelings on the diagram If you are interested further, you can indeed check on them. But this is of a higher standard as compared to class 8s. Let's see what happens immediately after fertilization. When the human oocyte is fertilized by sperms, it immediately forms zygote. This is still a single cell with the two nuclei, the nucleus of the egg and the nucleus of the sperm. Then it starts dividing. The cells start dividing, first forming two cells, followed by formation of 2 into 2, 4 cells, then going to 4 into 2, 8 cells. So at each division, the number of cells become doubled of the previous. Then it comes to a stage where the entire cell is filled up and packed up with no space between them but a compact ball of cell called morula. Then the outer cells start multiplying faster and the inner cells being packed with yolk has slower multiplication, leading to the formation of a cavity, and then this outer wall we call as the blastocyst. This is what you see in the diagram, but this blastocyst will indeed grow into an embryo. That embryo, which doesn't look very different for the embryonic stages of development, it is really quite difficult to differentiate whose embryo is growing, but once it grows further beyond the embryonic condition, then it starts showing structures of the individual into which it will grow. That is what we call as differentiation. So the different organs and the different parts of the body are seen to appear. Once the limbs start appearing, we call this no more as embryo, we call it a fetus. And this full term of development of an embryo in the uterus from fertilization till birth is known as gestation period. This takes 280 days for humans. I have given you certain definitions of implantation, which happens indeed immediate to fertilization, and then the definition of differentiation, which I spoke to you. After the embryo is formed, it starts differentiating. So all these are given for your additional support. These are three images of the developing fetus. The fetus is shown inside a sac-like structure which is called placenta. The placenta has three layers: a chorion, amnion, and allantois. And the fluid that fills surrounding the baby is the amniotic fluid. This intimate connection of the umbilical cord between the mother and the growing fetus allows the baby to get nutrition as well as to excrete the waste via the mother. After this comes the stage for the delivery of the baby, which is biologically called parturition. If you have any doubts, needs to get cleared, you can indeed post your queries in the comment box. Till then, thank you. Thank you for watching. Please do like my video, share it with your friends if you find it useful, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Happy watching.